Oh, thank you all for tuning in another edition of Outside the Shop with me, your host, Daryl D. Lane, as always, where I get to talk about everything that I normally don't get the chance to talk about on a regular sports podcast, barbershop sports talk, which you guys can all find on Spotify, iTunes, Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, SoundCloud, Pandora, whichever podcasting Apple platform you may use. Top 40 QBs in the NFL, QB 4 and 3. Quarterback 4, Aaron Rodgers, the back-to-back league MVP. No quarterback has been more consistent than Aaron Rodgers on a throw-per-throw, snap-per-snap basis the last 2 years. Still at his age, 38, 39 years of age, still has one of the strongest arms in the NFL, has multiple different release points when he throws the football, is probably the second best quarterback in the NFL when it comes to throwing sidearm, only surpassed by Patrick Mahomes, the multiple different arm angles. He can be off his back foot and throw a tight spiral 40 yards down the field. Supremely accurate, great precision passing, hits his receivers in stride every single time. Very good at going through his reads, a very smooth thrower of the football, a very easy ball for his receivers and tight ends and running backs to all catch. He's a master at working the short passing game, good at working the middle of the field, good at throwing over the top of the defense from all areas of the field. And he's a very good scrambler as well. Not what he used to be as a scrambler, but still a very good scrambler when he breaks contain out the pocket. Quick release. Like I said, Aaron excels at the mental aspect of the game in terms of knowing how to get the ball out of his hands quickly, reading the defense. Very good pre-snap, post-snap football player. Aaron's absolutely phenomenal. Now, the reason why Aaron is not higher, and I know people might be saying, oh, Aaron Rodgers, league MVP, back-to-back. He should be number 1. He should be 2. He should be 3. Here's the issue. Aaron struggles when he gets hit and he's under pressure, and I think he starts to physically wear down over the course of the game. Case in point, the 49ers divisional playoff game, when he really started getting hit by guys like Nick Bosa during that game, he's not willing to push the ball down the field. He's a lot more willing to try to dip out of the pocket and try to run, or he's a lot willing to take the check down. He's become a lot more check down reliant than maybe he was in years past. I also think, while he's still a very good scrambler, he is not the scrambler he used to be. Also, things that he can't do that I'll just say the guys who are ahead of him are Herbert, Allen, Mahomes. All 3 of those guys are ahead of him. What those guys can do is they're better scramblers, much better scramblers. Guys like Herbert and Allen can just push a guy off and then stay in the pocket and then make a tough throw down the field. Aaron's not doing that. He's not shrugging off defenders in the pocket. While he is so precise, he has such precision. He's very patient. He lets the game come to him. If you're in zone, he's going to pick you apart. But sometimes you need somebody who can press a little bit, make plays when nothing's there, like how we saw an Allen, a Mahomes, a Herbert do. That game in the divisional round of the playoffs when the Chiefs were playing the Bills and you saw Mahomes and Allen trade body blows back and forth, making these spectacular plays where Mahomes is moving like a ballet in the pocket, making all these guys miss and then making all these crazy throws down the field. And then you see Josh Allen shrugging a guy off, then making a monster 40-yard throw and getting out the pocket, breaking contain, and making these crazy sidearm throws. At the pace they're both doing it, going up and down the field repeatedly in the fourth quarter. Aaron is not capable of playing that type of game. He's not. And that is the issue. And that's why, even though he's still great, he's still fantastic. Don't get me wrong. He is not higher than those 3 guys who I just mentioned. I want to see him push the envelope a little bit more. And also there's a deterioration, like I said, in terms of the scrambling, in terms of making people miss in the pocket, which I think is hurt as well. And his arm is not quite as good as it used to be. It's still a top 5 arm in all of football. But when you go from being the number 1 arm in football to, let's say, the number 4 or 5 arm in football, right? You see a little bit of a difference. So Aaron, still phenomenal, but not number 1, 2, or 3. And then we get to quarterback number 3. And this might be highly contested. Justin Herbert of the LA Chargers. Justin Herbert is the best pure thrower of the football in the NFL. I want to say this. No quarterback was asked to do more than Justin Herbert was last year. He was second in the NFL in passing attempts. When we look at the 2 guys who are ahead of him, Mahomes and Allen, both those guys had better receivers. Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, Stephon Diggs, Gabriel Davis. They had all those type of weapons, and they had top-tier offensive coordinators. Brian Dable, who's now a head coach for the New York Giants. Andy Reid, one of the best offensive minds and head coaches in the history of the game. And Justin Herbert just quite doesn't have that. It's like, hey, it's 4th and 20. Brandon Staley's like, hey, Justin, go save us. Go throw a 20-yard rifle down the field, and it's 4th and 18. And then edge rushers can pin their ears back and try to get after you, right? Like, that's not a way to make a living in the NFL. It's really not. And Justin Herbert consistently excelled and answered the bell again and again. Just case in point, go rewatch that game last week of the season when the Las Vegas Raiders are playing the Chargers. The throws he made are absolutely incredible. Like I said, Herbert, no quarterback in this league was actually do more than him last year. Particularly when you look at the offensive players he had around him in the skill position game and the play calling that he had at his disposal compared to the other quarterbacks, the other top tier quarterbacks in the NFL. You can have the rush in his face. It will not affect his motion, will not affect his throwing. It will not affect his process. Boom, boom, boom. Consistently hitting the guys right in the hands. Could hit him in stride a little bit better. I'm not saying he's perfect with that, but it's good enough. And also, the ball just pops out of his hands and it gets there quickly. You can see it slicing through the air. It's just like beautiful to watch. When you move him off the spot, he still is accurate. He can move outside the pocket, scramble, make all those sidearm throws from the pocket when there's no pressure. He's just as deadly. If you have an open guy, he's sending them 9 out of 10 times, right? It's absolutely fantastic. It's special in terms of just the size of the man, right? 6'6", 237 pounds. I think he can get bigger. We could see him maybe become more of a Josh Allen in terms of how he's using the run game, which we have not seen the Chargers tap into that part of the game. Can work all three areas of the field, with pressure, without pressure, when he has to scramble out the pocket, when he has to stay in the pocket. Like there's nothing he cannot do from a throwing aspect, whether it's inside the pocket, outside the pocket, whether it's tight coverage, whether it's loose coverage, whether he's being blitzed, whether he's off his back foot, whether he has 2 defenders in his face. It does not matter. The ball is coming out the same every single time, and he's hitting his receivers. He is absolutely special and unique that way, and there's not many guys in the history of the game that can say they have the arm that Justin Herbert does. Casually rips the ball 20 yards down the field over and over again. You're like, what the F? Like, who is this guy? He's a better pure thrower of the football than my guy Josh Allen, who I absolutely love, but he's a better pure thrower than Josh, and he's better straight up in the pocket than Patrick Mahomes. Like, he just is. Argument, like I said, best pure thrower in the game. And he's learning, right? He goes through his processing very quickly. He goes through his reads at a high level. You don't see him make the same mistakes over the course of a game. He knows when to get the ball out of his hands. He knows when to take the check down. He knows who to go to. There are some weaknesses that I have noticed with Justin. I think sometimes he's so big and strong and he wants to make the play, push it down the field. He can take bad sacks. Sometimes there's bad pocket awareness. Sometimes it's like, hey, Justin, let's just take the sack. Let's live another day. Let's play field position. But it's very aggressive. That's also what Brandon Staley and the Chargers brass have instilled in Justin Herbert when they're going for it on 4th downs, right? So I understand why Justin Herbert's like, let me just try to make a play, right? Also, I think there can be some indecisiveness in his game at times. Sometimes I'm like, I want to see Justin Herbert, pull the trigger just a little bit quicker instead of, maybe trying to play a little bit more conservatively sometimes that way. But after you take away those issues that, I said about Herbert, like there's nothing not to like about the prospect. Quite literally, nothing not to like. He's fabulous, and there's a whole lot of dudes that wish they could spin the ball like this man right here. Justin Herbert is here to stay, folks. So quarterback number 4, Aaron Rodgers. Quarterback number 3, Justin Herbert. Have a great day, everybody, and God bless.